The time is 6 o'clock. I call tonight's meeting of the Plan Commission to order. We have a quorum with Mayor Ongert and Jeff Schlammer, both excused absence. I'm Matt Sternig, and I'll be chairing this evening's meeting in the mayor's absence. More than 24 hours in advance of tonight's meeting, notice of the time, place, date, and subject matter of the meeting was posted in accordance with Wisconsin state statutes. I call this meeting to order and ask that we all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First item on this evening's agenda is approval of the minutes from the Plan Commission regular meeting March 4th, 2025. Can I entertain a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Thank you, Mike and Chris. Any additions, deletions, subtractions, errors, omissions? There being none, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We have one public hearing scheduled for this evening, and John, I'll turn it over to you.
Sure. The first public hearing this evening is for a conditional use permit to allow for the grading and other site improvements within the FFO flood Fringe Overlay District located at 261 South Main Street by Tommy Zernia, Xcess LLC.
At this point, I'll open the public hearing. Is there anybody here to speak from the public in regard to the topic? Thank you.
Move to close public hearing.
We have a motion and a second. Thank you, Chris and John, to close the public hearing. All those in favor signal by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. And then John will be taking action on that.
Yes. We would need a motion.
I'll entertain a motion to issue a conditional use permit to allow for grading and other site improvements within the FFO Flood Fringe Overlay District located at 261 South Main Street by Tom Zernia, Xcess LLC, tax key number 11191320403.
Move to approve.
Thank you, Scott. Is there a
Second.
second? Mike, appreciate that. Any discussion on the topic?
Everything meets staff approval on that?
Yes, it's essentially, we had confirmation from the engineering firm that they hired. There's zero impact to the flood fringe area, and the improvements will also not affect that flood fringe area.
Any other comments or questions? All those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to our regular agenda, we have a couple of certified survey map items.
Yes, the first CSM this evening is for a two-lot certified survey map to redivide one lot into two lots located on the northeast corner of Stockhausen Lane and Wingate Street by Stockhausen Business Center LLC. And then, Jim, do you want to take both? Should we take both of these at the same time, or
We can, since they are related.
sort of interrelated? All right, so if that's okay, we'll have both on the floor at the same time. Request approval, the second item, which would be A2 on the agenda, is a request for approval for a one-lot certified survey map to combine three lots into one lot located at the northwest corner of Trenton Road and Wingate by Ziegler-Benz West Bend LLC.
Brief? Sure. So these two certified survey maps are related. This is in conjunction with the We Energies project for the new service center that they would like to do. The first CSM is actually creating a new parcel and subdividing off the eastern portion into an outlot to eventually be combined with the other CSM that's on the agenda. As part of the redevelopment, also, we are vacating the westerly 750 feet of Wingate Street. The CSMs both show the information regarding that, and that will be reconfigured into the other CSM for the We Energy site. Both the lots comply with the current zoning out there, and they also identify all the pertinent information for existing utility easements, the A&R pipeline, airport height restrictions, and whatnot for the development of the area. So staff would recommend approval of both of these with listed conditions.
Thank you very much, Jim. We'll vote on these separately just for a matter of process. I'll entertain a motion on CSM 25004 first.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you, John and Paul, I believe. Are there any questions for Jim or John on that first CSM? There being none, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Second one will be entertain a motion to approve CSM 25-005.
Move to approve.
Thank you, Mike and John. Any discussion on that? There being none, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? That motion carries. Next, we will move on to site plans this evening. We've got a couple of them. John, I will turn it over to you.
Yes, we actually have three site plans this evening. The first one is in relation to those last two CSMs that you guys just looked at. So it is a site plan for approval of construction of a new service center located at the northwest corner of Trenton Road and Wingate by WEC Energy Group on two tax key numbers.
I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, John and Chris. Any discussion? Or Jim, any further detail we need to consider as you review these?
No, we've pretty much, the commission's kind of seen this in concept. This is actually following the concept that we have. Overall, it's consistent with what we have here. Staff did have some site plan comments that still need to be addressed as cleanup. We Energy is aware of those and are willing to make the changes for that, for this site plan. The other odd or unique thing that we have for this one is we will have some public improvements that will be done for the cul-de-sac bulb for Wingate Street, which would be incorporated as part of the site plan approval, and also engineering approval for those for those improvement plans. But staff would recommend approval of the site plan with listed conditions.
We do have a motion and a second. Any additional questions for Jim on this matter? There being none, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? That motion carries.
The second site plan item for this evening is for the construction and addition and building alterations located at 777 South Indian Avenue by Good Shepherd Evangelical Lutheran Church Properties Limited.
Jim, anything you'd like to cover off on this before we introduce it?
Overall, this is for a 14,633,000 square foot gym addition, along with a parking lot addition to the southeast corner of their site. It's pretty much the maximum build out for this site, for the development now. They are proposing to match materials for the building as best they can. We have cement siding, we have also metal panels, and then also we're also looking at landscaping around the perimeter of the new areas being proposed. Signage of the building is going to be slightly changed throughout, and permits for those would be needed. Staff would recommend approval with the conditions.
I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Chris.
Second.
And Mike, any questions for Jim on this topic?
Jim, do we have any concern with replacing the drainage facility in the southwest corner, or southeast, sorry, with a parking lot?
I'll let Max.
So
go
with,
ahead.
when I reviewed the site plan, I noticed that they were removing the surface facility, but replacing it by an underground facility to address the storage. It's not an unusual method of storing stormwater. as long as it's dimensioned properly. So I'm waiting to get their design for that and make sure it meets all the codes and ordinances. But it's not unusual to have underground storage for stormwater.
And just to clarify, that is one of the conditions of the approval that we've built into that.
Correct, yeah. It's a stormwater amendment approval.
Thank you. Any other questions? There being none, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? That motion carries. Just a quick note here, short of articulating procedural actions, I will recuse myself from any discussions and potential voting on the next topic of facade and site updates to Big Brothers Big Sisters building due to a conflict of interest, namely my wife is the organization's executive director.
Thanks, Matt. Our third site plan for this evening is the approval of our facade and site updates to the rear of the building and maintenance and repair of the Main Street facade located at 103 South Main Street by Big Brothers Big Sisters. This particular item has received a Business Improvement District facade grant for the rear of the facade. I'll take you through that really quick in terms of what's that consists of. There's a drawing on your screen. Essentially, they're going to be repairing the stucco, repainting the building, the fire escape. They're going to actually replace the fence that's there and build a new fence to contain the garbage. Right now, there's sort of grass and gravel. They're going to pave that area so that it's all clean and tidy and easy to maintain. Put some flower pots out there, or maybe some gardens for the kids to work in or something like that, raise planters, something like that. The other item you'll see is there is a railing on the upper part of the building. That railing is required by building codes because the tenant on the second floor actually has access to that rooftop. That would be a means of like emergency exiting, so they have to put that railing back up there. And then also part of the facade grant is to do repairs to the mural on the side of the building as it's has a little bit of repair that needs to be done from weathering, that sort of thing. So that consists of the facade grant and the facade improvements to the rear of the property. And then for the front of the building, there is, I'll say, delaminating of the facade. That facade was put on maybe close to 20 years ago. It's actually a thin brick veneer mounted on basically a mortar bed. Water has started to penetrate through that system, and so you have some bricks that have popped off, and it's actually bowing. So they'd like to repair that. We spent some time talking to them about the facade. The design guidelines do indicate that when you have a facade like this, you're supposed to take it back to more of what it originally was. But because they can't find that specific brick from the work that was done about 20 years ago, they'll take all the brick off, they'll replace it, so essentially look like it is now, but they're not going to be modifying the windows, the structure, or anything like that. So staff looked at it, and it does seem to fit into that category of maintenance or repair. If for some reason, if they get in there and there's a whole bunch of unknown things, then they'll contact us and we'll figure out where to go from that point. But at this point, I think their contractors are pretty confident it's sort of on that outside layer of just some water penetration into that system. That's the quick synopsis. Is there anything else I've missed that you guys might want to mention? Okay.
I will entertain a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you, John and Paul. Any questions for John or members here?
I do have one, there was a comment about the MOA comments on there. Was anything received from that? They were due today? Is it today or tomorrow?
It's tomorrow. Did we get anything yet?
We have not received anything.
Any other questions? There being none, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? That motion carries. Next, we'll move on to a preliminary plat.
This evening, we have one preliminary plat. It is a request for Lakewood Farms, a 97 lot single-family residential subdivision located northeast of County Highway NN and 18th by Newman Development, Inc.
Jim, anything you'd like to add?
I can give a real quick brief. So this subdivision is a single-family RS4 subdivision. The lots range from anywhere from 7,680 square feet all the way up to 29,928 square feet. All meet the code requirements for the zoning. We have 4 outlots that will be created as part of this, and those outlots will be used for landscaping purposes along with stormwater management. Access to the subdivision is going to be from 18th Avenue along from County Trunk NN. Sanitary sewer and water main will be extended from the north and extended into this subdivision. Stormwater management will be required as part of the approval process, along with park fees and street trees for the subdivision. There will be some additional comments being sent out for the grading plan for a few adjustments within that. We have a couple of driveway grades that exceed the maximum slopes that we have, along with some technical corrections for the grades, and then also trying to get some usable space in some of the rear yards that we have. Staff would recommend approval of the preliminary plat with the listed conditions.
I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Thank you very much, Mike and John. Any questions for Jim or for Newman Developments? And if there's anything you'd like to add as we get into this, go right ahead.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate Brian and Newman Development.
Yep. Is there a green button? Okay, perfect.
No, I appreciate it. We're very excited about this neighborhood, and I have one very small request on the conditions. Number 6, if we could strike the last bit of that says prior to the issuance of a building permit. Don't want that lingering around. That's what the purpose of the developer's agreement. That's the purpose of surety. The state's pretty clear on when building permits are to be released. No issues with it in general. We'll have all the as-builts and plans and work with staff to their satisfaction. But we work in too many municipalities to know that sometimes we get haunted by stuff like this.
John, I'll defer to you on that.
It'll all be taken care of in the development agreement.
Okay.
Yep.
We'll amend the motion as such.
Thanks.
We do have a motion and a second. Sorry, we do have a motion and a second. Any additional questions, comments?
The access on NN, is that the sight lines and all that are legitimate as far as far enough for traffic coming into NN from the subdivision over the bridge?
Yeah, I'm happy to answer that. Yeah, we did complete a traffic impact analysis that's been provided to staff. That is the location that the county highway department confirmed with sight lines and otherwise.
Brian, regarding landscaping, obviously you've got this drawn out as 4 phases, but would the landscaping go in following those phases, or would that go in more at the beginning?
Typically, we would do the landscaping associated with a phase with that phase.
Okay, I guess I would ask, looking at the berm that is behind the property that fronts 18th Avenue, Mr. Rodman's home there.
So that's the larger lot?
That's the large lot, yeah. You've got I think it's a 6-foot berm on the east perimeter of that. Would it be possible to get those spruces planted in that first phase? I'm assuming you're thinking this is a 4 to 7 year time frame to get over to phase 4 on his backyard, but if we can get 4 or 5 years of solid growth on those trees before construction starts, I think that's a better buffer for him.
I got no problem with that, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
We'd need a motion and a second to amend the motion that's
Okay, so then
already out there.
I would move that we add a condition to do the landscaping behind Mr. Rodman's property and that berm. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Colorado, and I forget what the BHS is, but they're spruce trees, that we get those planted in phase one.
Is there a second?
I'd second that.
Thank you very much for that motion, Paul, and second, Scott. Brian, you're amenable to that?
Yep.
Okay,
That's acceptable to us, yeah.
sounds good. Any other questions or comments? Then we'll vote on the amendment. All those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The amendment motion carries. Any other questions or comments in general? There being none, all those in favor of approving signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you. Next, we'll move on to extraterritorial survey maps. John, I'll turn it over to you.
Sure. Our first extraterritorial survey map today is for a one-lot certified survey map dividing the unplatted lands into one lot parcel located at 2230 Rusco Drive by Dean and Joseph Groth.
Real quick for this one, this lot is, this CSM is actually creating a building lot or a building site for a single-family home and then separating the farm amenities from the remaining tracts of land. It's within our planning area and also within our, and identified as single-family in our land use plan, so it's appropriate for this. The CSM is dedicating 33 feet of right-of-way for Rusco, and then also a 17-foot wide road reservation is provided in accordance with the city's official map. Staff would recommend approval of the CSM with a minor correction of the street name from Rusco Road to Rusco Drive.
I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Thank you, Mike, or sorry, Scott and John.
Chris, yeah.
Chris and John, thank you very much. Any questions or comments for Jim? There being none, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries.
Our second certified survey map for this evening is a request for a three-lot extraterritorial certified survey map located on the southeast corner of North River Road and Wallace Lake Road by Parish Survey and Engineering.
Yeah, this CSM, there's another CSM that's followed on the agenda that is actually just to the east of this that will follow up, creating 4 lots. So these 2 CSMs are creating a total of 7 residential lots out on Wallace Lake Road and North River Road. Lots meet requirements. They're also within our planning area, but not in our sewer service area. The lots themselves or I should say the 2 CSM, they're both dedicating right-of-way for Wallace Lake and then North River Road, and we are also getting a right-of-way reservation of 7 feet for North River Road and 17 feet for Wallace Lake. So staff would recommend approval as presented.
I'll entertain a motion.
Move to.
Thank you, John and Scott. Any comments or questions? There being none, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? That motion carries. One last extraterritorial certified survey map.
This is a request for approval of 4-lot certified extraterritorial certified survey map located at the southeast corner of North River Road and Wallace Lake Road by Parish Engineering.
This is that subsequent CSM that I talked about earlier that gave us the dedication for, or gave the town the dedication for Wallace Lake, and then also our 17-foot reservation for, in accordance to our official map. So again, staff would recommend approval as presented.
I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Thank you, Mike and Paul. Any questions for Jim? There being none, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Anything else that we need to cover off on? Otherwise, there being no further business before the Plan Commission, I adjourn as chair.